everyone, Achikah here, and it's finally time to announce the winners of Base Off Day of the DEAD-Corator. We had 10 absolutely wonderful, spooky, festive, and fun-themed bases, and I cannot thank you guys enough for the absolutely wonderful live stream that we had. Like, not only were all the bases absolutely incredible, just decorated to the T, and really, like, just infused with the Halloween spirit, but you guys all, like, for the live stream, I had such a great time. I can't speak for everybody, but it was so much fun. There were interactive bases, and you guys, I couldn't believe some of the numbers too. Thank you all for coming out. I kind of got nervous when I saw the flash of the numbers at the top of my screen that kind of like pop up. I'm like, oh. I'm not used to streaming in front of that many people, so thank you guys so much for coming out and just making it a really fun time. Halloween has a very special place in my heart, and I don't have too much time to celebrate like I'd like to. Just like the base off has now become like a part of my Halloween ritual, and thank you guys for making it special once again this year, because it was a really good time. So again, thank you to all the contestants and everybody for coming out to the live stream, as well as everybody who had all the very nice comments on the VOD. So thank you so much. But why don't we get into why you guys are here? We had, like I said, 10 absolutely incredible bases, and 3 of them have taken the prize pool winner's circle. So how did they get there, though? Let's get into the judging parameters first, in case you're new to Base Off. So there are 5 main pillars of Base Off that I go based off of. All of them have an equal amount of like points divvied up between them to kind of like give a final number for like just overall, and then that's how I go for based off of ranking. So the main 5 are creativity, which is how unique and just creative and innovative your base is. There's craftsmanship, which means how neat or how the floor planning or the layout flows into one another. When I say neat, if you have like a very like derelict or like more like a skewed or a jar or like like messy base, I guess, but like purposefully messy. I'm not talking like neat as in that, but as in like, are your dividers flush with one another? Is everything like it is like the askewedness part of the base or not? You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So like like clean clipping and things like that. Which leads into logic, which also has a caveat about it. But logic is how believable your base is, as in how does the narrative flow throughout the base? How do the rooms flow together? How are the items within the room interacting with one another? Is it logical within the setting that you and story that you've begun to tell within this base? So again, like, I'm not saying like if you have a fantasy or like a madness or like a like a Joker kind of base that kind of like defies like logic or reality. Logic isn't like grounding things into reality, but it's more like how logical are the items and the flow of the base like to the setting and the theme that you've given yourself within the base, if that makes sense. So there's that. And speaking of storytelling, which is kind of what logic bleeded into, we have storytelling next for the next kind of pillar there. It's just like how enthralling and immersive the story is that you're telling with your base, be it like an actual story, like a from scene to scene, which I mean you can do, but also just like visually, how is your base like telling the story or the setting that you are kind of painting for the viewer to see. And then we have aesthetic for our last pillar there, which is like the decorative aspect of your base. So design, patterns, how aesthetically or cinematic like is your base as an experience. So that kind of thing. So just kind of like decor, for aesthetics. But for this base off, we had a 6 pillar, which I stated in the judging parameters as well as the announcement video. And that is what kind of really separated the bases. Because like I said, all of, like, most base offs, like, almost all the base offs, I don't think there's ever, like, any clear-cut winner. But there are lots of them are lumped together. But this one was very specifically, there were a lot of really amazing bases with very different settings. Some of you went for more, like, horror-themed, like, macabre kind of bases. Some of you went for really fun, like, autumnal themes, trick-or-treat themes, that kind of thing. So there was, like, a very, like spaced out kind of variety of bases, but all of them were just like extremely well done. But the 6th tier is kind of what set the final 3 apart from the others. So we, for our sixth like pillar was the trick or treat tier, which was how innovative, unique, and engrossing your embodiment of the Halloween spirit was. And that's how we got our three winners, which we are about to get into today. So if you had the timestamp cue here, it should have popped up now. So welcome back. And let us get into our winners. So, in third place for Day of the Dead Curator, we had Smooth with their base Phantom of the Sewers. This base was so well done and just such just really I've never thought to like I've never seen the scaffolding done how Smooth used it, the new summer scaffolding, but also just in general, like I really love the slow burn that the theme had too, like throughout it. So you start off in like this sewer pump station and you know something's going wrong right from the get-go. You have bodies around, you have skeletons manning these like derelict old rusted consoles that probably don't manage water flow in any way, shape, or form anymore. And that's kind of like reinforced when you get to the later part of the base and you see that the floor has actually caved in from water damage. There's water seeping from the ceiling. There's chemicals dripping down through floor grates onto other things, decaying them or being like very like caustic and like, you know, especially in the hidden body hatch room, which the scaffoldings have. I can't wait till I get into that for the tour showcase. I'll get into more detail with that. But then, like, as the base starts to flow, um, literally flow because of the water, like, damage, like I said, you get to this part of the sewer that, like, is way more fantastical and opulent and theatrical, and you can see the Phantom has become like driven by madness. There's like this art studio where he's painting these very like horrific paintings. There are ghosts haunting him throughout the mirror, you know what I mean? Like reaching out, like these dead bodies that were like found throughout the base, like are haunting him even in like his you know, his bedroom or his piano chamber quarters. And it's just, there's spooky taxidermy, there's all kinds of wonderful clips and beautifully like pattern like aesthetic choices, especially the rug section, which was just like really well done. It was just a really well done base from floor planning. It was super spooky, and like I said, the hatch that led to like that chamber where all the bodies were being buried was so good. It was just such a fun Halloweeny, but also like very campy too in its own way. You know what I mean with the very theatrical ending. It's just it was very well done. So that is our third place winner, Smooth with Phantom of the Sewers. So for second place, we have Omnipotent Hera with a Coven's Former Glory. This base is just absolutely gorgeous, and it is so well done. There are so many fun clips and Easter eggs that I missed on the stream. For this base, I had to really suspend my bias because this base was a prequel to a base that was already shown in Base Off. It was the War Torn Coven base, and the story is that this mage school that was in both of these bases, the prequel has the mage school functioning and being very lively and full of mages. Before this Coven War breaks out between two warring factions and kind of decimates the school as well as the Coven population. So War Torn Coven, which I'll link up above, so you guys can check that out before the second place video drops next week. Yeah, that was like the aftermath of the war, and this was kind of before the war, and you could tell that some things are brewing beyond the surface because there's this very idyllic, wonderful, beautiful mage school that has such wonderful witchy vibes to it. Like I definitely get like very hocus pocus, like very classic Halloweeny witch, and also like the autumn themes throughout. There are pumpkins like in the alchemy rooms and in some of the classrooms too, and it was just like really well done. But like I said, behind the scenes there are some things like you can find a hidden chamber where a very arcane and kind of like malevolent ritual seems to be like taking place. There's also a dungeon with a creature in it that's looming and is slowly kind of like drifting and finding its way out, and it's just like you could tell that something's like about to go down, and I thought that was like just really creative and really cool to set the vibe. But overall, it was the little details in this base which really like jettisoned it up to where it's like it became like the second place winner. Like it's just like I love like the storage room and how everything is like labeled so that some naive mage will come in there and accidentally grab the wrong ingredient and like totally make this noxious potion that will just like flood like the academy or something like that. Like the attention to detail, there was like a stirrer within one of the cauldron pots, which was just so very cool. Like I said, a lot of the curio cabinets had little items, like mystical items, like throughout it, and just the use of the space to make classrooms and different kinds of witchy classrooms too. It was just a really well done base, just wonderful overall. And like I said, it had that very like Halloweeny witchy, festive hocus pocus kind of vibe to it, and I really loved it. So that is our second place winner, Omnipotent Hera with A Coven's Former Glory. So next we have our first place winner, and this base, I don't even know how to really begin how to describe it, because have you guys ever seen a base where it's like a base that you were like, I would have never thought of that in a million years, and yet you wish that you would have thought of it at the same time? It's like, man, I wish I would have thought of that, but I don't think I ever would have thought of that. Like that's kind of what this base really embodied, and not only, I mean, well, it definitely was that, but what it really embodied was Halloween overall, and that is absolutely what jettisoned it like to the top. It was probably one of the most believable bases I have ever been in, but also it just really captured the spirit of Halloween in such a frank but very like nostalgic and wonderful way. It was great. And for our first place winner, we have Frostwing with Hokey Halloween. I, in a million years, I never would have thought to make a high school that was putting on like a fall festival. Like I don't think I ever would have thought of that, but having seen it, I really wish I would have, because it's so well done and so creative, and it's just one of those things, because you have to like make a high school setting, which is already kind of like a little like, it's not difficult to do on DC. There are a lot of lockers, there are a lot of posters, a lot of banners that a lot of us just kind of like overlook, and it's like, why am I ever going to need that? I'm never going to make just like a school setting kind of thing. But like taking all that, and then on top of that putting on a fall Halloween festival, like I'm assuming to raise funds or something, maybe for prom, or maybe it's just like, I don't know, to raise money for the school, or like the band's like field trip, or whatever it is. Like it was just like, just like one of those like fall carnivals that happens, but also to do it in such a way that it definitely looks like high school students put it on. And it was just, it it's like when you see like outside, like kind of like, it's like when an artist makes bad art, if that makes sense, because you can tell that the intention behind it is very professionally done, but it's like they're making like, it's kind of like critiquing like generalized mundane art in general. Like it was just so well done. Like the rolled up astroturf is so like haphazardly done, that's just like somebody was like, yeah, that's good enough, and just kind of left it, which is such a vibe for a high school like festival. Like it's just so good. It looks like somebody went to like the dollar store and just bought some things and like put them up to make them look spooky. Some of the doors aren't even taped off, they're just taped off with cobweb. But like you could also tell that there was a lot of love put into it too, because like the theming of the rooms, like the library's theme was skeletons, to have like a dead silence kind of vibe, which I think was just really really cool. The cafeteria was turned into a witch like brewing like place, you know what I mean? So spooky food. It definitely had that like organs and eyeballs, like spaghetti and grapes kind of thing, like nostalgic kind of like, thing from like a homemade like haunted house. But like one of the things I really loved was that at the end of the tour, you go into the auditorium, and the theater kids were the absolute most extra, as you know, as theater kids can kind of do on occasion, and like totally like went above and beyond and made the most realistic setting out of everything. Like, everything else looked like it was kind of like haphazardly made, and then like the auditorium was like very decked out. Like the theater kids put a lot of emphasis to like spookiness and stuff to it, and it was just really well done. The happy little ghost too decoration that was made, just like it's all the sound uses too. There were so many like retro televisions and barbecue grills that were used throughout to make like sound effects. Just the whole thing overall was so creative and like so nostalgic and just really really embodied like both Halloween, like the like just autumn, fall, and also just it just really captured like it, I don't think a more perfect high school haunted house could like it was just it was perfect. It really was. So that is why in first place we have Frostwing with their hokey Halloween. And I cannot wait to get into these bases in the next week here. I hope you can't either because they will be the next 3 showcases here on the channel. So those are our winners of Base Off Day of the DEAD-Corator. I cannot thank the contestants enough for your absolutely incredible bases. Like they were, all of them were absolutely fantastic. And also, congratulations, like I said, to our winners. I'll be contacting you with the prizes here in the next coming week, hopefully. If any of you who entered are planning on deconstructing your base or tearing it down, please, please, please let me know in advance so I can film in advance. Even if it's not like right away, like if you're not planning on destroying it like right now, but anytime between now and probably next October, because I think I'm going to do the same thing I did this year on the channel with having like a spooky filled themed month and have like all the previous base off bases like be there if they weren't in like the winner's circle. So if you guys like are planning on tearing down or having any renovations or anything and you need me to film in advance, please let me know. I am more than happy to do so and put it on the back burner for the year to come. So let me know about that. If you want it featured here on the channel, of course, like no pressure if you don't. But yeah, so reach out to me there. Yeah, stay tuned for the next Base Off, which will be premiering next week, and if not next week, the week after. If you guys have followed Base Off at all, like it definitely, it should be no surprise what this next Base Off is, and I can almost guarantee that the majority of you are probably already working on the base that you are going to be entering for that. So, just stay tuned for that. And again, thank you so much to everybody who makes Base Off what it is. Thank you again to all the contestants, everybody who came out for the live stream, everybody who watched the VOD, everybody who helped donate for the prize pool. Thank you guys so, so much for that. And thank you guys for just spreading the word of Base Off. I know a few of you told some league mates and some other people. We had some newer contestants the last couple Base Offs, so I hope you guys will join in on the festivities again at some point. Based off, like I say every time, it really is like near and dear to my heart. It's one of the best times like on the game that I have is spending it with you guys and looking at bases, and it's just it really is fun. So thank you guys for participating in just everything you do and just yeah, making Base Off what it is. So thank you again so much. So yeah, I think that's about it. So again, congratulations to our winners. Thank you so much to our contestants and everybody who, like I said, makes Base Off what it is. I hope you guys had a very happy Halloween. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody.